Alright then, so for what we're looking at now is we're looking at the idea of a cowl sleeve that has a drape at the head of the sleeve. So let me just trace around this and then we'll have a look at what that looks like in a garment or in a design. If I could only be able to find the pen that I wanted when I wanted it, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Okay, here I go. So you need to think back to your first year and all the things that we did with sleeves, probably, to become comfortable with this. I'm just tracing around the block, my block as it is. My block's got the dart at the elbow on the underarm seam rather than the block you use at the university. It's got it coming up from the wrist, but you all know from your first year how you can change that if you wanted to. I'm not wanting to, doesn't matter where that is, because all the action is happening at the head of the sleeve. I definitely need to know where the centre line is. There we go. So the sleeve that we're looking at, see if you can see this green when I am drawing it, is one that, or not sure if that's visible. Okay, I'll do it in this green. So all right then. So the sleeve that we're looking at here is one that has drapes that come from here, and then it goes into a sleeve. So the cowl or the drape, just keeping in mind that always you can replace cowl with drape, comes from the head of the sleeve. You can also put pleats in it, but that's not necessarily necessary. Again, keep this in mind, and hopefully we'll get to do a studio project where you get to make something. You can always run it out during that one. Okay, so this is what we're doing, and the alteration we do to the pattern is very like what you've done in your first year in making the leg and mutton sleeve. Actually, it's virtually the same. It's just that the fullness that you create gets treated differently. So instead of being gathered, it's just draped. Okay, so I'm wanting to create this. So I think with most of the drapes now, you might be getting the idea that what needs to happen for a drape is there needs to be extra width put in to create the droop, if you like, which is a very unglamorous way of describing a drape. But we need extra width so that it droops or drapes and creates this sort of action. So I'm going to create a straight line here, much as we did when we were looking at the front neck cowl. So let's get some lines drawn in. I'm going to split it probably here, although it could be also split from further down, depending on how much drape action you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to cut down here. And I'm going to cut across. So do you remember this from making a leg and mutton, hopefully? And I'm also going to cut it at about a halfway point. What I'm absolutely not going to do is I'm not going to change the shape of the underarm seam. So I'm cutting along here, as you know, because we need to have it split from both directions to be able to open it up. But again, it's something that we've done. You just need to haul it out of your memory banks. Okay, let's see if I can move this without completely breaking it. So I'm not doing anything with the lower edge of the sleeve. I'm just opening up the top edge. And as with all the other examples that we've done, I will cut it out in fabric, I will pop it on a mannequin, and we will look at it in class. So as per your first year sleeve manipulations, I'm going to continue the centre line so we know what's happening there. And I'm opening these up by the same amount, so from the front to the back I want them both of the openings to be fairly equal, and then from that one to there. Okay. Oops, sorry, getting all caught up in the sellotape. If I take my pattern master, I will be able to make sure that those are level. By coming off the centre line at 90 degrees. So this next one, I'm going to open that up so they're equal, and I'm going to sellotape those. Now, of course, when we did, just moved that weirdly, when we did this for the leg of mutton, we then drew a big bobble there because we needed the gather to be able to go up from the shoulder and down into the sleeve. That's not happening with this. This lift here, that lift and that lift will create these drapes. So hopefully, this is pretty much what we needed to do. And we need to do a straight line that runs from the apex of the sleeve here across to the middle. Now you may sew that, or you may be leaving it open. So in here there might be an opening, sort of kind of a cold shoulder situation, or you can sew it. If you're going to leave it open, you need to add a facing on here like we added with the other drapes that we've done, so the front cowl and the underarm cowl. If you're going to sew it, you just need seam allowance on it. So I'm going to say I'm going to sew it. I'm just going to put seam allowance on it. When you're tracing this off to make it the pattern, you need to have your usual notches to be able to match up with the armhole, and you also need a notch here and here so that you take that back to the shoulder seam at the apex of the sleeve. So it's a very, very simple, you've kind of done it all before, pattern alteration, and I think that it really only starts to make sense when you see it. So I know that some of you have images of this that amongst your research. For those of you who haven't got images of this yet, then I will be cutting it out and putting some images up for you. Okay, so I think we're done with that one. Anyhow, when we're in the class, you can always ask me questions if you have more questions.